Woke up this morning thinking about the possible need for a separate branch of the military, a cyber force branch of the military, something greater than just cyber command and cyber capabilities that live in the individual branches of the military as they exist now, but a dedicated branch of the military focused on this domain. There are things that we can look at to consider as we continue to consider building out a cyber force, if that's what we call it. There's the Air Force splitting away from the Army after World War II, and the fact that air power wasn't just completely consolidated into the Air Force at that point. There's still air power that exists. There's essentially an Air Force that exists inside the Navy, inside the Marine Corps. There's aviation assets that are essential parts of the Coast Guard, the Army, you name it. But the air domain is overall controlled by the Air Force, but there's assets that still reside, like I was saying, within the Army that help the Army perform its mission, mostly rotary wing assets in this situation. But even the Army has some fixed wing assets that can help them perform their ground mission. So creating a cyber force doesn't mean you strip away cyber capabilities from all of the branches of the military. You're just basically saying that this domain, this warfighting domain, the cyber domain, is critical enough of a domain that we need to create a force dedicated to that domain. I think we're long past that. We've already created a space force a number of years ago because we knew that was important. It was made fun of at the time, but I think everybody almost universally agrees now just how important it is to have a separate branch of the military focused on space. I'm not sure the Air Force model splitting away from the Army is the perfect parallel to what we need to do here with a cyber force, but there's a lot we can learn from that. And I think there's a lot we can learn from the way the Coast Guard is structured, because of so much of the cyber battle that we fight is essentially here domestically. The way the Coast Guard is structured to go overseas occasionally and participate in DoD activities, essentially as a part of the Navy, but more importantly, fight here domestically to control our borders, to control our shores, to do law enforcement missions, but also do warfighting missions, but also operate on our rivers. So if you consider cyber sort of like the rivers of our modern world, a cyber force would need to have the same authorities. This gets into a very sensitive topic of our day, how this is going to operate domestically. But if we want to prevent a cyber 9/11, which, for lack of a better something else to call it, I'll call it that, or a cyber Pearl Harbor, I think we need to do this sooner rather than later, because we don't want to be building it like we built DHS after 9/11. We know this is coming. We know the adversary owns large chunks of our networks. We need to do this now. We need to consider this now. Let's do it.